Okay, this is a quick guide on how to bake from your high poly VRChat avatar to your low poly VRChat Quest avatar. Here we have our high poly mesh. It's got some UVs already in an atlas because that's how it was set up. Here's the low poly I made. It also has UVs that are entirely different because we're going to transfer textures from this high poly mesh to the low poly one. So on the high poly mesh, we need to make sure that we have a shader that has a base color, that's the texture. We see it showing up here, so it looks fine. On the low poly mesh, we just need to make sure in its shader we have an extra texture slot floating over here with a new texture at whatever resolution we want, and that needs to be selected. So this is what we'll be baking into. Now you want to select the high poly one, the low poly one. There we go. Make sure your render engine is set to cycles, not Eevee. Go down to the bake tab. Make sure you have diffuse selected. That should be correct. Adjust color, select it to active, and then we'll hit bake. Oh, not enabled for rendering. If you need to turn that on, the collection was just turned off because this is an old file. Now I hit bake, and we should see our textures bake out. If we go look here, it should show up. Okay, so it baked out, but it looks a little bit scuffed. That's just because we need to play with our ray distance. So if we increase that a little bit, it'll give a bit of extra bias because the low poly is underneath the high poly in parts. So I can just sort of increase that a little bit and see if it fixes my issues. You can see the bake progress down at the bottom. And now it looks like I don't have any problems. So if I turned off my high poly, now I'm looking at my low poly and I can see that the texture looks correct. So that's how you do that.